Good morning, everyone. I'm Kerry McElroy, and you're watching Aim for Stronger. And boy, we've got a great show for you today. An awesome, awesome segment. We're going to start with Barbara. I've got my three friends with me, as always, Barb O'Donnell, Patty Chin, and Vivian Rain. And we're all in our home studios today. We're going to start with Barb, who's going to show us a 15-minute challenge. It will take you 15 minutes. And she's going to go through the whole thing. She did it on the beach down in Mashney Village, or down in Bourne. So she's going to share that with you. So Patty's going to jump in and show us some quick upper body moves. And then Vivian and I are going to talk about a question we get all the time from our clients, and that's how to pick the right shoe. But oftentimes, I don't know about you ladies, but I'll be training folks, and I'll notice that they have shoes on that maybe aren't the best shoes for some of the exercises and activities we're doing. So I have for 20 years recommended shoes to people, and we make no money with these recommendations. It's just our own particular thoughts about things, shoe lasts, what they're made of, what's the best, shoe for you for what activity you're doing. And people always ask us, well, what should I be spending? What price point? So we're going to cover it all. We're going to save that for the end though. So stay tuned. Okay. All right. Without further ado, again, always aiming for stronger. We start with our friend Barb O'Donnell, who's going to give us her 15-minute workout challenge.
Okay. So here it is. It's 20 seconds on, 5 seconds off. The 5 seconds gives you time to get to the next exercise, basically. Then when you're done with the series, you get a 30-second rest. So 20 seconds on, 5 seconds off. The first exercise is slider hamstrings, which I just use furniture movers. The second one is slider lunges. I use furniture movers. Then I'm going to jump rope for 20 seconds. I'm going to use a band. These are Perform Better bands for a reverse. It's going to be a reverse lunge and a row. Okay? You ready? Let's try it. Okay. Slider hamstrings. Heels are on my sliders. I'm all the way flat. I'm going to lift my hips up. Here we go. For 20 seconds. If this gets too hard, I'm going to switch to a single leg. Second exercise. Lunge. I have one toe on my slider. Belly in tight. I'm going to sit my butt back for 20 seconds. Other side. Chest is up. 20 seconds. Jump rope. Seconds. Now I have my band just attached to my porch. I'm going to squat nice and low, chest in tight, belly tight, sitting back. And I'm going to row for 20 seconds. Last exercise, I'm going to do a reverse lunge. Keeping my chest up nice and tall. And that's it. 6 times. It'll take you less than 15 minutes.
That's awesome, Barb. I love it. So that's awesome. So 6 times through, 15 minutes, 20 seconds on, 5 seconds recovery. Man, who can't do that, right? Who doesn't have 15 minutes? Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Awesome. Great. Hey, I have to just say before I move on to Patty that I thought I was cool with my brand new shirt today from Kohl's with all kinds of colors. And then I got on and I took a look at Barb's got a beautiful blue faith shirt. Vivian's got a beautiful shirt that says love. And Patty's got a beautiful mind body shirt. And I thought, wow, I got to get going here, So we got the colors going on today, okay? So I'm so happy that everyone joined us and saw that. So, all right. So Barb, thanks so much. That's wonderful. Patty's going to show us some quick upper body moves, a nice modified tricep push-up, because so many people, it's difficult to do tricep push-ups, and sometimes our triceps are not the strongest part of our body, especially the women that are watching. So she's going to show us a beautiful angled modified push-up, which is going to be great. All right, Patty.
Good morning, everyone. Thinking about Aim for Stronger again, positioning ourselves for to be stronger. Aiming is to position. And watching Barb do her workout made me think about the 2 or 3 at least messages that I've got from people that have said, hey, do you know where I can get weights? Everywhere I try to get them, no one has them. And it made me think about the caveman. Have we ever seen really a skinny caveman without any muscles? They didn't have any fancy weights. They didn't have any fancy gyms. They just used the earth and what they were doing. So this reminds me of what Barb was doing. When I think about this move I'm going to do now, just using a simple step up platform. Some people buy them at the store just so they can reach something high in a cabinet. When I'm walking outside, if I didn't have something to use like dumbbells, immediately like Barb, Kerry, Vivian, you walk out, your mind starts thinking like the trainer does. You see a rock, hey, I could use that. You see a tree, hey, I could do a pull-up on that. Well, I'm going to use this little step up. As Kerry said, I'm going out. I'm going to have locked wrists. This is also great for people that in this position, their wrist sometimes feels compromised and they feel like they get pain in it. Often if we rotate to a different position, we can do it. So I'm going to keep my abs nice and tight. I'm going to drop down onto the bench, pushing up, dropping down, exhaling up, keeping my hips up at all times in full alignment, pushing down. I can do this on a big boulder outside. I can do it around, and it feels so good. Pushing down, coming back up, one more, pushing down, coming back up. So with that being said, don't worry about the fancy. Whatever you can find that works is going to be excellent.
Yeah, Patty, thanks so much. Patty and Barb, I'm going to ask a couple of questions and just ask people. So Patty, what muscle groups am I working, what you were just doing?
Okay, well, I can think, of course, about the tricep. My chest is engaged at the same time. I'm keeping my core is also playing a part. Is going to keep everything in full alignment there. Also, sometimes when your legs are out straight, everything from the lower body here is all being engaged at the same time. Making sure, of course, that your foot position, as we're speaking of today, that my foot position is in full alignment. So it plays the core, chest, tricep, all of those come into play.
Yeah, thanks, Patty. And it brings to mind something that I'm sure all of us hear all the time. People want to do isolated moves. What can I do for my triceps? What can I do for my inner thighs? What can I do for my abs? But we know that lots of moves we do that seem isolated are very combination and they engage many muscles. Barb, what were you engaging? Give us a little bit of it before we move on. What were you engaging today? You had lots of
yeah, mostly legs, but with the band, it was the back, your back. With the bridges for the hamstring curl, that's going to be core. And core isn't just right here. It wraps all the way around to your lower back, right? So low back, hamstring, and glute activation. Yeah. And then a little bit of quad and glute when I was doing the reverse lunge, jumping rope and getting that heart pump in.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you just got 5 different exercises, 4 from Barb and 1 from Patty that are full body workouts. So, 15, 16, 17 minutes and bam, you've got it all. And so thanks to you two. Awesome. All right. So Vivian and I, we're going to turn it over just quickly and talk about a question we get all the time. And what's more important than your feet, right? I mean, especially now in the summer, we walk around barefoot and we're always trying to, make sure that our leg muscles are strong. But if you're in the wrong shoes, I'm looking down at my feet. If you're in the wrong shoes, man, can you really hurt yourself because everything's connected to everything. One of my high school teachers taught me that, and I've said it all my life. Everything is connected to everything. So your hips, with the lack of sounding like that song, but your hips are connected to what's going on in your feet. Your knees are connected to what's going on in your feet. Believe it or not, your spinal alignment, which goes all the way up to your shoulders, your neck, your head. You got a headache, it might have started in your feet. I say it all the time. So if you're in the wrong shoes, you could be throwing your whole alignment off. You could be, especially if you're going to start running or walking and adding pounding activities to an already poor set of shoes, either the wrong set of shoes, the wrong brand for you, the wrong last of sneaker for you, excuse me, the wrong support, the wrong material, you could really be in trouble. So Vivian and I are going to talk a little bit about what the types of brands are that are really good for folks. So so I'm going to start with picking the right shoe for you. What I asked, there's 4 simple questions we're going to ask. What are you doing? Okay, we'll start with the first thing. You know, what type of foot structure do you have? You know, what type of brands might work for you? And lastly, what should you be spending? You know, what are the price points? Okay, so Vivian and I are going to cover that, you know, as quickly as we can. But if you have any questions, you can certainly email us or Facebook us, and we have a Facebook page too. So check it out. Questions, we'd be glad to help you free of charge. We just want, you know, we're all so passionate about helping people just move in better planes of motion, having the right equipment. You don't have to spend a fortune, as Patty said, to do it, right? So what are you doing? Are you walking? Are you running? Are you spinning? Are you riding a bike? Are you, you know, hiking? Barb does a lot of hiking, so I'm sure she has a great pair of hiking boots. Are you doing a court sport? Are you playing basketball, volleyball, tennis? What are you doing in the summer? So all of those different activities involve a certain amount of movement in a certain plane. So if let's say you're doing Zumba, you want a shoe that's real twisty in the front. You want to be able to be on your toes and be able to twist so that you don't hurt your knees. You don't, you know, blow out your ACL, your arterial cruciate ligament. So, you know, you want things that move. If you're playing a court sport, you want a flat, stable, probably rubber-soled shoe that's going to stop you from moving as you hit the ball, as you drive up for volleyball, basketball, whatever it is you're doing. If you're walking or running, you want the degree of angle and cushion on your heel makes a big difference. I'm going to let Vivian speak to that in a minute too, because Vivian's, you know, a marathon runner, so I want to let her talk about that. So there, you know, if you are spinning or bike riding, you want a shoe that's got a, you know, a very stable bottom and a clip, whether it's a butterfly clip or a small SPD clip. If you're spinning indoors, you want to spread out the feeling of that clip onto the ball mount of the foot, and you want the foot to be the leg to be a nice piston stroke up and down, and with the bike in the pedal stroke. So lots of different things to consider. Okay, I'm going to start with Vivian talking about running shoes and some of the things that they're made of and why that's important, whether you need stability or endurance lasting with rubber or ethyl vinyl acetate, EVA. She'll talk about that, and then we'll go on to some shoe types, name brands, and price points. And again, ask us any questions that you need. All right, Miss Vivian, over to you.
Well, I used to train marathoners, so I used to have a lot of clients ask me about shoes. And you want to actually go to a reputable running shoe. You don't want to just go to like Dick's or some sporting and pick out the shoe because of the color. You know, it's not looks, it's what's inside that counts. And with running shoe, there's a lot of medial support because if you're moving forward. So running shoes are not good for aerobics like Zumba, like Kerry mentioned, because this shoe is going to just give you forward movement. It's not going to help you move laterally because it's designed for running, moving forward. And there's all different types of shoes for all different types of feet. You might supinate or pronate, meaning fall in or fall out arches. All right, you might have a little knock-kneed because your hips aren't strong enough. So a good salesperson in a running store is going to look at your running or walking gait and suggest what type of shoe you have. I am a very neutral runner, so my feet are sort of go in line with my whole body. So my shoe doesn't have a lot of medial support, which, see how I twist this? I can twist that a little bit. So I don't need a lot of support. So these are my running shoes for a short distance. So if I wanted to go a little long distance, these are a little stiffer shoe, you know, just in case I get tired with, you know, doing a longer run, this gives me a little bit more support. See how stiffer this shoe is when I try to twist it. So this is gonna help me in my longer run. So if you're, you know, into running, you wanna have 2 pairs of shoes, one for shorter distance, one for longer distance, and you don't go by the bottom of the shoe. You know, that's dead if you have no tread. What really counts is the inside. And sometimes I like to put the date inside my running shoe so I know how old it is, because running shoes only last at the most 3 months, you know, and it depends on your weight, how hard you hit the ground when you run, that gives you the length of the shoe. how the life of the shoe. And also what you do with your shoe. You're not supposed to keep it in the car. You treat it like a puppy. You know, you don't want to keep them in the car when it's hot out because you're going to wreck the inside, the cushion inside. And also I suggest 2 pairs of sneakers because if you run every day, this cushion inside the EVA is not going to bounce back. So it takes more than 24 hours for this cushion to back. So that's why you kind of want to rotate running shoes. Okay, I could keep going, but I need to let Kerry talk now.
Yeah, no, Vivian, that's awesome. So like Vivian said, there you've got uppers, your middle cushion, and your lowers, your bottoms of the shoe, and that's so important. So in Nike right now, and so many of the other vendors, I think Adidas as well, are making uppers that are real soft mesh, which, you know, there are 2 things, and Vivian touched upon it too. 2 things that control how, you know, what type of shoe you've got. Do you want longevity in your shoe, endurance, like you're going to have the shoe for 3, 4, 5, 6 months to a year? Or are you just walking around in the shoe casually? Or you're actually working in the shoe and pounding in the shoe? So, you know, unfortunately, if you do a lot of running, you need an EVA shoe, and probably even a compression molded EVA shoe, which is a soft outer sole, which has a lot of cushion to it. But the downside to that is they tend to be more expensive and they don't last as long. So you know you're going to replace them often, but you're going to sacrifice, you know, you've got to sacrifice that financial piece for the comfort and stability of the shoe that you need, that lightness in the long running shoe. If you're a heavier runner, you know, again, different sales associates will talk to you about what types of shoes will get you the best bang for your buck, no doubt, which have, you know, a stable outer sole and a stable underneath as well, a cushion for the running that you won't have to replace, you know, every 2 or 3 months. Particularly if you're a heavier runner like me. I mean, Vivian's a lighter runner. So there are all kinds of things that play into what you do. Brooks, Saucony are some of the names you're looking at. Nike tends to make, if you're, you know, a pretty light person, not, you know, you're very lithe of running, and you're also very quick. Maybe you're doing short runs. Maybe you're training for, you know, 5Ks, and you're looking for some great times. You can go with some of the Nike flats. They're, you know, they tend to be really, really light, but like Vivian said, they're going to break down quick. You have to replace them every 3 months. And sometimes that's hard for people to hear, but that's what you need to do. So, so again, take a look at what brands work for you. What is, you know, what is the outer sole made of? What is the inner sole made of? Maybe write some dates down to when you got them on your receipts or inside the cushion, like Vivian said, so you know when you bought them. Because sometimes I don't know about you guys, but I have clients who buy the same style and same color, like 3 or 4 pairs of them all at once if they find them on Amazon, and you forget when you bought one shoe or another, because it's, you know, sometimes you get overstock in green or what have you, and you just buy it because you love that shoe. So, you know, shoes, unfortunately, have come up in price, but they've also come up in what they're made of. You know, I just read a wonderful book over the spring called, it was Phil Knight's story called Shoe Dog. So if you're interested in the sneaker industry and how it really came to be, beyond just the initial brand of Adidas in the 1900s, then take a look at Phil Knight's story, because it really began in the late 60s and how he grew Nike over, you know, it wasn't a quick success story, but he talks about the different types of technology that has become what shoes are today, basketball shoes, running shoes particularly, because those are the ones that seem to be the most expensive. You know, gone are the days where you can go out and buy a decent pair of shoes for, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks. A decent running shoe generally starts around $149, right, Vivian? Easily.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I also like to interject about, you know, it's also the size of your foot. Some people have wider foot base in the toe box, where Nike has, you know, slimmer up toe box. And I like Brooks and Saucony for that wider foot base up by your toe. So, you know, for that nice fit for the toe box. So you gotta think about.
There's no doubt about that. If you take a look at Vivian, can you hold up those shoes? Just show me the bottom for a minute as I move on to brands. But yeah, there you go. So
I'm a Saucony girl, so I just kind of go with Saucony. I used to go with, like you said, well, A6, but they seem to break down a lot. So Saucony is a good bang for your buck.
Okay. Yeah, there's something called the last in the shoe. So if you hold up your shoe, you can see, hold up the bottom, Vivian, hold the bottom. That's what's called the last. See how the shoe cuts in by the instep there? There's something called the last of the shoe. And if it cuts in deeply, that based on how much, how wide the toe box is, based on the arch of the shoe, if it's got we call that a narrow last, if it cuts in deeply. And some people with a high arch, that's great for them. Nike tends to have a narrow, what we call a narrow last. If you have a wide last, Sauconys, if Vivian had a Saucony, it would be straight down. There would be no cut in by her, yeah, put your fingers on the cut in, Vivian.
This is a Saucony.
That is a Saucony. Okay, so it might just be a narrower last than Saucony, but Sauconys tend to be more straight last, and if you have a wider foot or a flat foot and you tend to pronate a little bit, sometimes those are a little bit more comfortable to wear.
Well, it's for a neutral runner, that's wrong.
There you go. Yep. See how the last is straighter on that? So again, these are all questions. People looking at us probably saying, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. But, gone are the days when you should just walk into a Famous Footwear, and I'm not slamming Famous Footwear, and just spend, $59 for a pair of shoes if you're going to run. If you're just going to walk around and use them for casual wear, great. But anything that you're going to have an activity in, we all recommend as trainers that you really, break down and get a decent pair of shoes based on the activity that you're doing. So what are some of the name brands we recommend? Again, we talk about them all the time. Vivian talked about Nikes, Adidas, Brooks, Asics, Sauconys, those new Hokas that are kind of interesting too. I've had people like those. So, they're supposed to be really great for running. So we have, some shoe stores really, and I'm talking about running shoe stores, not like you said, a Dick's or a Olympia or one of those. Not that those folks don't know what they're doing, but you really want to look at, Vivian, where do you recommend for some of the stores that you go to?
Well, in this area, in the Massachusetts East Coast area, I like Marathon Sports, and also DB Sports is very good too, which is over in North Attleboro on 152 DB Sports. And Marathon is in Wellesley, Cambridge, Mansfield right here. So if you're from the Rhode Island area, I think there's,
Roadrunner, yeah.
Roadrunner, yeah.
So. That's in Providence, so yeah, and that's a really great place.
Using these while you're weight training, though, I suggest you, use something that's not very supportive. Even barefoot, if you can possibly, lift weights barefoot, it's great for you,
Yeah,
for you.
I have a Reebok shoe that I use for lifting, it's a cross trainer, and I also have a great company which I am absolutely in love with called No Bull, B-U-L-L. I love No Bull. Yeah, and I had on my Facebook Live last week, I had their shorts on. I absolutely love them. They're just great. Everything they make fits really well. It's just made really well, and they make a beautiful lifting shoe. They have they have low tops, mid tops, and high tops, and they are just great. They have a rubber sole. They're grippy, and you can do jumps and things for CrossFit, and you can also, if you're doing legs, you want a nice flat shoe. Like Vivian said, you don't want a shoe that's pushing you forward and moving you, vertically, because that's just going to really hurt your knees. You don't want anything that has a high heel on it, like a runner would have when you're lifting. So take a look at brands that fit you and which ones, are good for the last of your foot, whether you need a wide toe box, like Vivian said, or you have a high arch, or you pronate or supinate. Those are all so important. Again, so important to visit a running shoe store. Lastly, you don't have to spend a fortune, but know that you're probably going to spend at least $120 on a decent shoe, whether it's a basketball shoe, a volleyball shoe, or even my cross training shoes. My No Bull shoes are about 110, I think. So because they're made of quality materials, the uppers and the lowers, the soles, and that's important. Know that you will probably replace them. The only exception to that would probably be a cycling shoe. I taught a spin class yesterday, and I had a couple of gals in the audience who said, you really need to get a spin shoe soon, because you're spinning 2 and 3 times a week, and spinning in a running shoe just really hurts your knees. So they said, oh, they're so expensive. I said, yes, but you'll only buy them once, probably. I don't know about you, but Vivian, yeah. Wow.
I'm 5 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I ride outdoors too, and they last a long time. You're not going to replace your cycling shoe often. Yeah.
Right. You just have to replace the clip.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do is replace that clip.
Yeah.
And also, if you use your running shoes to spin or cycle, you're gonna wreck your running shoe. You're gonna break down the inner soles and everything else. So then these won't last as long as you're expecting them to, because you're on a hard pedal pushing down. So clips are the way to go when you want to spin. You know, the shoe will last over 20 years.
Yeah. All right. So anything else? Patty and Vivian, just unmute yourselves. Yeah. I mean, Barb and Patty. Yeah. Anything else, gals, we want to add? That, you know, hopefully we've given you some exercises and some things to think about as always. Okay. What do you got, Barb? Anything for us?
I'm just saying, faith can move mountains.
It sure can. It sure can. Patty, what do you got?
I'm just thinking about just remember to hydrate. This time of year when people are out, a lot of times the body's screaming, trying to tell them something. I see so many people out jogging, they're all flushed, they don't have anything to drink, or maybe they, you know, just remember to stop and grab a drink. Keep it available, keep the hydrating going.
Yeah, awesome. Good advice. Vivian, what do you got for us?
I say add a little love and do the gallon challenge with water. That's what I'm doing. Gallon challenge with water.
Gallon
challenge
a
day. What?
A gallon a day, Vivian? Okay.
Yeah. Woo!
Ooh, all right. All right, listen, you've been watching Aim for Stronger, and that's what you should be doing all the time. We ask you every week, what are you going to do this week to aim for stronger? If nothing changes, nothing changes. So what one thing will you change this week and aim for stronger? Thanks for joining us. It's Barb O'Donnell, Patty Chin, Vivian Rain. I'm Kerry McElroy. Like and share this if you can, okay? Tell us what you like. Have a good week. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Fun. See ya.